All right, y'all. We're going to talk about bloodline curses, uh, pretty much soul eating. Soul eating, they'll also eat the organs in the body, which is also the brain. And we're going to talk about why it is not good enough to just believe in God. I hear people saying that sometimes. Hello, Raina. Raina says she's watching my unblocking vid. Use the half. Oh, nice. Oh, I love those candles. Yes. So, listen, it- you know, a lot of people confuse spiritual awareness and education, and they confuse being spiritually aware with being crazy, right? With being outside of their mind, and that's not always the truth. A lot of people think that when they're being eccentric, or if they say things, that they're being spiritual, you know and they'll believe it, but it's not even true in a spiritual reality. Okay, so a lot, like, first of all, if you come from a very spiritually gifted family, especially the last several generations, a lot of the education has gotten lost. um and so you can be plagued by bloodline and generational curses, no matter where your spiritual, I guess where your spiritual placement is. So a lot of people think, and again, this is my theory on this. I don't believe, and this is something that I'm going to stand by. I don't believe that the original energy body that these parasitic energies, or these parasites, these spiritual parasites that are obviously attacking people and interfering with their cognition, I don't believe that it is human. It's not even anything that we are used to seeing on this planet. I believe it is interdimensional. I believe it's alien. I do. I believe it's alien. It's something that probably should not exist in this paradigm, but it does. And I believe that it's an original body, right? I believe that these parasites, these bugs, come from this alien. Almost like, oh, y'all know that movie, Men in Black. And do you remember I think it was, the girl, not the girl, the the alien that was wearing the Edgar suit, and he had like all these little bugs and stuff. And he was like a big bug. Well, I don't think it's bugs, but I think it's parasites, and I don't believe that you can actually see them with the naked eye. I believe that you would have to have a spiritual eye to actually be able to see them. And so sometimes it's very obvious, because a person's point of view will become very warped. The things that they do will be warped. People that do have these bloodline curses, they do exhibit behaviors that are conducive with non-survival. But that doesn't mean, hello, good evening, 1EQL. That doesn't mean that people that have money can't have a bloodline curse on them. You know the saying, money is not everything. That's the truth. It's not everything. Okay. So, but there's some people that have these bloodline curses on them, and they obviously work against surviving, right? It's kind of like, oh, wow, you're not going to survive with that. Oh, wow, you're not going to survive. And I think that people's relationship with money tells a lot about that. You know, it tells a lot about that. So the odd behavior, the off-putting behavior that is inhuman, um, you know, the behavior that they exhibit, I believe that a lot of us are looking at people that have this early onset dementia symptoms. Okay. Almost like dealing with an Alzheimer's patient where there's these outbursts, outbursts that make no sense. You know what I'm saying? And I believe that you can remove them from yourself, absolutely, because they're spiritual. It's not like if you were to do an internal cleanse and get rid of something physical out of the body, you're getting rid of something spiritual, which doesn't have a physical body, but it can alter or change the organs in the body. And it does cause a mental decline to where you'll start to notice that they're saying things that make no sense. And they may even appear to be narcissistic, and to the point where they are unaware. Like a normal person, when they do something wrong to a person, they're going to be able to acknowledge it and understand that when a person is fussing back at them and saying, hey, what the fuck are you doing? They should be able to understand, you know what? Wow, that was wrong. Wow. Why did I say that? Wow. Okay. They're gonna know. But a person that is being overtaken with these parasites, they're gonna be totally to the point where, you know, they can do all sorts of off-putting things and say all sorts of off-putting things that don't make any sense. Now, you know that I've been accused of being crazy. Call me crazy, but as a woman and a mother and somebody that has been a long-term child's rights activist, when I start raising my voice in the defense of children, that makes 1,000,000% sense, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Oh, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. That's going to always make sense. But to a person that is cursed and they got that curse on them, it's kind of like it's like, what, why are you upset? All we did was try to harm innocent people, which makes no sense. This is a part of the demented thinking. It is. It's a part of that. And yeah, usually people like that did experience some kind of abuse as a child, but the abuse that they experienced as a child was a result of that. This is one of the reasons why a lot of y'all that get with these men that are physically or mentally or emotionally abusive, if they don't get the proper help, and sometimes helping them doesn't matter, it will just get worse and worse and worse, especially if they are not a part of the treatment. If they're not a part of that, if they say things like, "Oh, I just believe in God." What God? So that could, you got to be careful. This is the one thing I want to tell you. Just believing in God is not good enough. Which God are you talking about, hon? You have to be very specific. When you say I believe in God, there's trillions of gods that are listening, and some of them ain't so kind to you. You have to be very specific as to what God you're talking about. Are you talking about the universe? Are you talking about the source? Are you talking about the sun? Or are you talking about the moon? Are you talking about Jupiter, Mercury? You have to be specific as to what God you're talking about. Otherwise, there's going to be hell, there's malevolent spirits that believe they are God. There's aliens that believe that they are God of this planet, and they're not. So, for example, if I were seeking protection, or if I were seeking resources, I could go to Gaia. I know who Gaia is. Gaia is who? Mother Earth. Who is Hecate? Hecate is the mother of witchcraft. You have to be specific. And a lot of people, they can't, or, it's like that intellectual aspect of them is gone to the point where it's a very simple equation. Just God. I believe in God. Okay. So it is an early onset dementia. And I got to tell you that, this is one of the reasons why a lot of you guys that are getting work done, that are specifically removing those. Hello, Ashley Rose. A lot of you guys specifically that are removing the contract, that generational bloodline contract, those of you that's getting that work done, that's one of the reasons why it is suggested that you stay away from the dysfunctional people in your family, because guess what? They are infected. It's a virus. It's like a virus. It's a spiritual virus. Once you've gotten that removed, you either need to stay away so that you can give yourself time to heal. Time is everything. Or if you have to be around that person, that a person that you have recognized as being dysfunctional in your family, you have to have some kind of protection amulet. A lot of you guys that are meant to get this information is going to be everything for you, because most of these people won't survive. What I believe that a generational curse does is it pretty much turns a person into a vegetable. It turns them into a zombie. I've noticed that, to the point where it's like, wait a minute, this makes no sense. What is this? So this is the reason why you hear stories, um, in the news about people flipping out and murdering people, and just they just got done eating dinner, and just bam, that person just pops up and murders everybody, because it causes the brain and the mind to degenerate. And a lot of people will say, well, why they, why not just put them to death? Well, the court system and our judicial system understands that there's something more sinister that's lying beneath. Some of y'all got these crazy acting men. Let's talk about that. Do you help them or not? Do you help a crazy acting man? I don't think you should if it's going to benefit another woman. I'm not going to spend thousands of dollars on a bloodline curse removal when he's, when it's going to benefit other people, or he's going to stay attached to the dysfunction. No, I'm not. I wouldn't do it if I were you. You got to talk to your ancestors about it. Hey, this person is crazy, acting crazy. Okay. That's a degenerative, that's a degenerate. A person that would attack small children, that's a degenerate. A person that does things that doesn't make any sense, says things that doesn't, that is because that person has that soul eating parasite inside of them. And what do you do when you've decided, I don't want to be with this man anymore? What do you do? Many women have ended up killed, ended up murdered because of that as well. In the meanwhile, the church still pushes that they should be against witches and not listen, still pushes that. They give them medications that make it worse. Sometimes. So, y'all gonna have to protect yourself from these people that they they are out there. Like, y'all got to protect yourself from these people that have these, problems, and it's gotten worse throughout the years. It has. It wasn't so bad several years ago. It's gotten worse. It has. Lemons and garlic is a really good defense. Lemons and garlic. For some reason, garlic is like an antidote. It's very protective for some reason. And eating garlic is a good supplement to the spiritual work that you need for it. Eating garlic, just eating some roasted garlic. And so, that within itself, what I'm talking about with some of these bloodline curses, it's kind of different than spirits, but spirits will help exacerbate the condition that's within a person. Bad spirits, attached spirits will help exacerbate it. It's almost like an enemy that doesn't want you to see the truth. It wants you to continue to stay blind because it does cause this spiritual blindness in people. And if a person is not accepting of what I'm saying, why would I go and continuously help that person when they don't even want to listen? I think spirit is really, really, really focusing on that at this point, especially when it comes to your loved ones, is when it comes to your sexual partners, your significant others. They have to listen because otherwise you're doing all the work for them. And I've got to critique people that are allowing people. But see, when you look at the choices that they make to have the people around them, usually the choices are going to be people that are going to enable that dysfunction. They're not going to want to admit something is wrong with me. They're not. But it is something wrong with you. Look at the things that you're saying. The things that you're saying are not making any sense. And you have people, just because you have somebody agreeing with you doesn't mean that it's right. But they're going to choose, or at least their energies and vibrations are going to pull people closer to them when they are um going through what they're going through. And so, let's talk about men. Men have got to stop not listening to women, especially witches that are telling them the truth. You have got to get that dysfunctional energy out of you. And the way you don't necessarily exercise those parasites, you have to kill them. You have to kill those parasites. You don't kill the person. Of course not. But many have been killed because they acting crazy, right? So but the parasite has to be killed. It does throughout the body. And the way that you're going to do that is, various herbs, various things that you have to say to the parasite to make it leave, and then fire, right? So that's why I use so many candles when I'm doing that particular ritual. And I noticed that even when I talk about that ritual, people get very triggered. People get very triggered. The people that are walking and talking in that dysfunction, they become very triggered. They try to spiritually attack. Their spiritual attacks is not going to mean anything. It's not. It doesn't mean anything. Either you're going to listen or you're going to perish, one or the other. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I was reading, okay, a positive motivational, inspired book, and he was acting weird, quiet, trying to. Mm, 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 mm. Well, I can tell you that if they don't want to listen, because and so a lot of people. So it's interesting because somebody on um TikTok was asking me about aliens, and a lot of people don't think that witches can battle with aliens. Oh yeah, we can. Been doing it for years. Been doing it since the dawn of time. Witches have been destroying aliens, or these malevolent life forces, right? We've been, in fact, witchcraft is the key. So when you think about it, it's really all about destruction. But why would man want to destroy itself? So it's a slow kill. It is. That's one of the reasons why people on this planet don't live that long anymore. That's one of the reasons why. They've cut their lifespan drastically. There used to be a time when people would live to be about 300 years old. There used to be a time where people didn't age. Yes, these parasites do feed off of us. Yes, they do. And they do not like witches at all. They work through the church. You ever see a church man or a pastor yelling and screaming at witches like we're the devil? But when you look at him, he's worse than the devil could ever be, because he's ignorant. He's ignorant, and he's making a judgment that doesn't make any sense. because most witches, like a huge percentage of witches, of people that identify as witches, you know, they are not evil. There is very, very, very evil witches are a minority. And usually it's a witch that has a bloodline curse on her. Okay. She usually has that problem. And so it's corruption. These parasites have corrupted everything, right? But with some people, it doesn't affect them. And I think it's all about how you feed your soul, how you feed your spirit. Okay. With some people, it doesn't affect them. Then it could have something to do with diet, whether or not you use fresh herbs. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends on what's in your environment. So you got to watch yourself out here. To me, it seems like the violence as well has gotten worse. The violence, the craziness, yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I can tell you that I think that whatever this adversary is of this planet, whatever these beings are, they took out a lot of witches throughout history. Like they consistently created death and destruction on this planet. Witches are absolutely very, very important to this planet. When you look at the family tree, even of Hecate, which she is basically the embodiment of witchcraft, and I believe Gaia is her grandmother, right? So when you look at that, it's witches are very important. And a lot of the times when you see a man, it's okay for you to fight against dark forces that are just trying to destroy you, not somebody that's trying to defend themselves, right? Because witches have to defend ourselves. We do. We have to defend ourselves. But when you look at a man who is involved with a witch and he's constantly fighting against his own help meet or his helper, that man is very foolish and ignorant to do that. And the reason why is because the witch, she's doing the work. She's doing the work to heal her spirit. She's doing the work to protect herself. But he is not. Because, everything has been set up to protect the witch. Everything around you is a setup to protect the witch. So when you see a man trying to harm a witch, he don't have no prayer. He really don't. I know that we see in movies, men destroying witches. And, I think that if a witch is causing a lot of problems and just doing dark stuff that makes no sense, just trying to seek vengeance on the world and random people that ain't never did. Now that's a problem. But, if a witch is a witch and she's helping those around her, uh, and she's being helpful, and maybe a lot of us witches are running our businesses and we're helping our clients, that should tell you nobody should be trying to stop that. Nobody. should be. That's a good thing. They are afraid of spirit. When you go from being in this dark place, or a place, because when you're not enlightened, that's the dark place. It's considered to be dark, blindness. But when you are enlightened, that process is very scary for people. So when you do free somebody from a generational curse, it may cause them to have anxiety. They may have really, really bad anxiety at that moment that could possibly last for hours, days, or weeks sometimes. But once they heal from that, and it gets harder and harder. It does. It gets harder and harder for them to, understand it. You know what I'm saying? But going from being unenlightened to be enlightened within itself is trauma. It feels like trauma. It feels very scary for a lot of people. And so that's why a lot of people avoid it. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. That's funny. Ashley Rose, every witch knows. Don't you dare. You already know. You know. That's scary though for people. So that's why a lot of people avoid it, because it's change, and change can feel like death. Change is hard when you go from being one way, and then you heal your soul and you heal your mind and your body, because your body's going to follow it. When you actually do heal yourself, that is a scary process, and it is not easy. Okay, that's why you hear about people that win the lotto. They either give a bunch of it's like a lottery curse. You get out, you go from being dirt poor to winning all those millions, or either billions of dollars, and you don't know how to act. You don't know how to adjust to that situation. It's the adjusting. So, they know they need it. That's why they watch and they listen very carefully. But then when it's time for them to step up, they don't want to, because it's a different feeling. And then, especially when they're older, that's why they feel safer to just stay in that place, which is fine, but just don't project that out to other people. They can't help it because it's misery. They are locked in, they are in a spiritual and a mental prison with that situation. When you are not enlightened, you are in a spiritual prison. And it's very scary for them. So then they have to go and cope with it. So I don't care if you got to take that drink or smoke some of that bud. You still need to focus on enlightening yourself, because the older that you get for that spiritual enlightenment, the worse that it gets. And most of y'all were not born into that energy. You were born into the energy of that prison. You were born into that prison. So a lot of us were, especially me, I was a late bloomer. I was. But a lot of y'all that are either younger than me, or some of y'all are the same age, y'all been doing this for, since you were a teenager. But even then, there's still the evolution of your understanding of spirituality and your spiritual self. So even people that have been, I've heard people say, oh, well, I've been practicing since I was 12 or 13, and I know. And yeah, but it's some things that you still need to learn, because there'll be certain behaviors that you'll be accustomed to that you do need to evolve from. Thank you, Goddess. So some of y'all, that came into the understanding you know, in your 20s, the process was very difficult because when you go from one way of existing to another way, that's difficult, especially if you were raised in an environment of poverty, a bunch of chaos around you, and you know, people yelling and screaming that, you know, and gunshots and you know, just all kind of chaos, you know. And then for you to be able for because most people are trying to get to nirvana. This is when you are in this quiet still place where you are experiencing nirvana, you are experiencing happiness, peace, and joy, and you just feel okay. You just like, oh my god. But to a person whose everyday routine was, you know, sometimes they mama woke them up, get up out of the bed, time to go to school, yeah, just yelling and screaming all day, just, you know. And you know, for you to wake up to that chaos every single day, every day, your body and your mind gets used to that energy. It gets used to it, and it's difficult to break that mode. So, you know, that's why a lot of people will choose to stay in that environment, and that's probably why they can't leave home either, ever. You know, that's not the only reason. There's some people that live with their parents or their grandparents forever. There's nothing wrong with that. There are some cultures to where everybody in the family just live together in a big house. Ain't no wrong with that either. So that's not a judgment. But if it's something that you desire to have your own space and that's what you desire, then you must fulfill that desire. Okay? That, you know, desire is very strong and it's very important. You know, the reason why you do desire that is because it's you, it's what makes you you. So, you know, if you come from a family where everybody just stays in the family home and that's what they do, you know, but you want something different, why question yourself? You know what I'm saying? So, uh, you know, when you're dealing with people that are dealing with those parasitic energies, um, you do have to have that protection. It's important for you to protect yourself when you're dealing with people that are going through that because they are going through that. Okay, that's just like a lion telling a lioness to not protect her cubs. Oh, you're crazy for trying to protect your cubs. The lioness will eat you. What's crazy is for the hyena or either a male lion to be attacking those babies. That's what's crazy. You ever see a lioness and her cubs? They just be out in the field. And the little cub, I love them little lion babies. They just be playing and the mama be feeding them and stuff. And then all of a sudden, rah, rah, and she jumps up and she ready for battle. Okay. She ready for battle. Right. That's just what it is. That's called nature. Women are no different. And a woman that doesn't protect her children, which a lot of y'all came from, some of y'all came from an environment where your mother, she was, she, she wasn't protecting you, okay, from your father. She wasn't. She just kind of went along with it, okay. Something wrong with her, you know, whether or not it's ignorant or a follower or whatever it was, you know, too in love. Oh, I'm in love, and I, you know, mm-mm. No, that ain't way it's supposed to go down. So, you know, what I found is the latest dysfunction that this parasite is trying to, that entity is it apparently telling women that, we're not attractive because we want to protect our children. I wonder how many women are going to fall for that one. Not too many. I'd say that you are the sexiest, most beautiful woman in the world. You want to protect your babies. Okay. So, and it seems that, especially when you look at families that have a lot of dysfunction where, children are being beaten, children are being raped, molested, and all of that stuff. And, yeah, of course, the people in the family, especially the male abusers, they're going to have a story that a normal woman is not going to buy. And our judicial system, they just act like it's up to us to deal with them. Because, you know, I look at forensic cases and murder cases of men that are killing women in droves. It is downright scary looking around at males sometimes. And the fact that they know nothing about what is happening to them, most of them don't. And the scary part about it is that they're being told don't listen to the witch by the other agents of this parasite. It's very parasitic. It's very evil. Okay. And I don't know what the deal is with their obsession with trying to hurt women and children. That's weird. That's weird, and they can't say that they are. They just say, I believe in God. Well, who's your God? I'd like to know who's your God. Do you know what it looks like? Is it like a tall gray alien? What does it look like exactly? What does your God look like? I wouldn't want to, I think men had it all wrong when they were doing the crusades and stuff. They had it all wrong. They did. And they were probably parasitic, demonic, parasitic, like almost like invasion of the body snatchers or something. You know what I'm saying? Something real weird is going on here. When you see people actively moving around and speaking and indulging in dysfunction as if they're watching some kind of snuff film, you know? Yeah, that's corrupt. You sitting around, I'm gonna tell you one thing. Um, I wouldn't be able to sit and listen to somebody talk disgustingly about innocent children or an innocent person that has done nothing to them. But there's some people that are sick. They are sick enough to sit there. Ooh, I love this. Ooh la la. Talk more. Say something else disgusting. Oh God, yes. Something is wrong with these people. Something's wrong with them people. And y'all know I'm telling the truth. That's sick. That's dysfunction. That's de-evolution. Like that's terrible. And I was just looking at a story on the Misery Machine today where these parents pretty much they had a special needs child and they literally let the baby sit in the crib and starve to death and rot to the point where the baby's bottom was completely gone, the spine and the tailbone and everything was just exposed. It was just eaten away. The skin and the flesh was eaten away. What the fuck is wrong with people? You know what I'm saying? So, hey, listen, um, and people that are usually dysfunctional like that, they can't hide it. Okay. Just, just sitting up there, just saying all these horrific things, or even, well, you better just be saying it because I'm a mama bear. It will be like bear attack when it comes to my children. But think about the people that are sitting there watching that. What's wrong with them? They have a similar problem. They do. And I'm sitting up here like, wow, this is very dysfunctional. Whatever that entity is, it's either they're evil or it's telling them that it's okay to, I guess, disrespect certain races. Well, it's not my curse, it's your curse. Something wrong with you. Something is really wrong with you. What, are you entertained by that? That entertains you? And what's up with these people that hate children? What's wrong with you that you hate children? Children haven't done anything to you. How do you just randomly hate children? Something ain't right. It's disturbing. Yeah, it is. And I don't see how people. I know I didn't listen to it. I listened to maybe 30 seconds of it. I was like, oh, hell to the no. That's a parasite or something. What the fuck is that? You got people out here live on YouTube degrading children. Wow. Really? The hell is this? Some damn what in the world? And I don't blame y'all for not questioning them. Fuck it. Just kind of turn away and go, no, I'm gonna pretend like I didn't see or hear that because this is weird, bro. Right? Is it? Yeah. Like, what's wrong with these folks? You know what in the world is this? Mm. Well, all I know is that y'all better protect yourself. It's a lot of people. You can't see it, but it's there. It's there, and sometimes it will manifest to where you can see it. You can see it in the face of a person, but it just is kind of like, wow, um you need help. And I think that it does run through families. It does, because I think that the more ignorant your bloodline is, the worse it can be, to the point where you know at least they got enough sense not to hurt their own. But obviously that trait, that parasite, is there because what are you doing? It's there because you're out here and you're attacking other people. Mm-hmm. So y'all have to be careful and protect your family. You do. You have to be careful, protect your whole family from people like that. Mm. Where'd you see that at, Raina? Somebody's head spinning around. You saw that in person? Yeah, I believe that dementia and Alzheimer's is sort of like a sign of that. And I believe that people start showing signs of having early onset dementia, possibly in their late 30s, and it just degenerates. And I think that it's not just something that's happening. It's not some kind of medical mishap. I believe that it's spiritual that causes that. I do. Mm, yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, Ashley, you're correct. So as a woman, I don't follow a man. I follow my ancestors and my own intuition. I don't follow and cower under a man. No, because men can be making totally the wrong decisions and doing the wrong thing. They're trying to bring back women being these submissive characters, but look at how that trickles down. If you're totally submissive to a man, he might be doing some stuff he ain't supposed to be doing, and I ain't going for it. I ain't going for that. Like, no, I ain't about to submit to what? Like that, they'll say submit to me, beating your kids once a week. No, I ain't gonna submit to that at all. Oh, you're gonna attack me? Okay. I have a crowbar. I'll hit you with it. Yeah. Now, and I wasn't raised that way. Y'all gotta understand it. My big mama, one time, my father attacked me for coming in too late. This lady could barely walk. Next thing you know, she's standing in the doorway of her door with her pistol in her hand. She said, Dino, you better put that girl down. I'll shoot your ass. He was very upset about me. And it wasn't my fault. He wouldn't even listen. He just went on the attack. My father started physically attacking me. I'ma say it. Big mama came out that room with that pistol. She said, you better get away from that girl, Dino. He turned into a little kid. He stomped off into his room and slammed the door. And mother, you ain't gonna let me be a father to this. She said, you ain't being no father. She said, you ain't being no father. And she went in there and put her pistol up and went back to sleep. Shit. That's where I came from. I didn't come from the type of women that just let a man just beat on a woman. I ain't come from that kind of family. Not on either sides of the family. So what we gonna do here? And what's wrong with a lot of these men? What's wrong with them? Oh yeah, I cherish my big mama. I never. That's something that will always be. And I know my father doesn't like when I tell stories like that, but it's the truth. You did it. You did it. You made a mistake. Admit to it. My father's a Virgo. He has a very hard time admitting when he's made a mistake. The Mercurian men, they are far worse than the Aries sometimes. You know how they say Aries men, if they're negative, they are notorious. Them Aries men. I beg to differ. Them Geminis and them Virgos. Oh my God. No, they don't. They don't. Mm-mm. You know. But removing the man that is abusive is not the only thing that you should do. You have to have the understanding of the wisdom also, so that's where a lot of women, because some women have had, you meet this man and he starts physically abusing you, then of course it trickles down to the children, and they'll leave these men, but they'll go out there and they'll try to connect themselves with the same energy that facilitated the abuse to begin with. And I think that that's a mistake that a lot of women are making. That's a sign. Being with an abusive man, that's a sign that you need to take the path. So if you're missing that from your home as a single mother, you're going to have problems. If you're missing that, if you're missing that divinity of the goddess, that's going to be an issue. Mm-mm-mm. One EQL said, my grandparents condoned and supported all pedophilia and abuse towards me. Mm-mm-mm. Mm, 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 mm. I believe it's the reason why people ain't dying of natural causes. People used to die of natural causes. I believe these parasites are causing all kind of stuff happen to people. Goodness gracious. Both sides of my family all said put men first, no matter if they did wrong. Wow. Understand why they do what they do and bless your enemy. That's sad. Mm-mm-mm. Well, Ashley Rose, the good news about it is that they are a minority. Most people walking this earth, they don't believe in that. Put men first no matter what. If no matter what, both sides of my family put men in their place. 'Cause I've seen a man drunk come home acting crazy, acting a fool. Like, what is wrong? Like, what is it? I got demons. You know what I'm saying? They got demons. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. It ain't just a simple little argument or spat. It's to the extreme, and it's not a joke. It ain't funny. People are sick and twisted and demented. I believe that those people are a byproduct of that. That is demented. There's no way in hell I would be proud of that behavior. But see, that's because when your brain is not affected by parasites, you think differently than they think. You don't think the same. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And y'all know some of those herbs will protect you from physical abuse too. Some of them herbs and stuff. But um, we headed towards no man's land real quick because women already outnumber men by a landslide. We outnumber them, and so many of them are so warped. It's yeah. A lot of them are just so warped, and it's not up to us to become adapted to the abuse. It's like they want us to become adapted to it. Okay. I looked at this one video. This woman, this man, he just kept beating on her. Just, they was together for years. He just kept beating her. And finally he killed her. Finally, he just beat her to death. He did. He just ended up beating her to death. I think this happened in California. This happened probably about 10 or 15 years ago. He just beat this woman to death. Okay, the kids was asleep at the time that he just beat her to death. You know what he did? The next day was Christmas. It was Christmas morning. Instead of him calling the police, he didn't want the kids to know what he did. He took this woman's body and propped her up on the couch and put sunglasses on her. So these children could spend Christmas morning with their dead mother that was just sitting up, propped up on the couch, not moving. I said, what the fuck? That's some sick, twisted shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess he was trying to do his final heroic act. And I can tell you because a lot of them try to act like, oh, well, that woman is a demon and he had to beat her to death. Man, if you was a fly on the wall and if these walls could talk, you don't have to be doing anything for a man to flip on you. That like and if a man beats the crap out of a woman and a woman asks her, what did you do? The fuck you mean what did I do? A lot of women that have been in abusive relationships where the man just start beating you, like just out of the blue, just beat the crap out of you. And I was just sitting there. He just started beating me. Oh, I don't believe that. You must have done something. Uh, Please believe that the phenomenon exists. You remember that? Wasn't that in California? He just beat that woman. I mean, my God. And the human body can only take so much beating. The human body can only take getting beat up so many times before it just shut down. And what was that lady's name? She stand by your man. No, if a man is, because physical beatings are very dangerous, but emotional abuse, it can give you a heart attack. There was times, it seemed like when you're in love with a man that's emotionally abusing you, immediately you feel that pull on your heart and you feel like you can't breathe and you feel like you just want to agree with him. But I'm going to tell you that you either going to get stronger or you going to get weaker, one or the other. And I got stronger. And I got stronger. And you know what? It was several workings that I did. I had to do spiritual work for that, to where he couldn't just say stuff to me and just hurt me because he just wanted to hurt me. I want to hurt you. I want to hurt your feelings. I want to make you feel like crap. And, you know, no woman deserves that. None of us deserve that. I don't care what race you are, how tall you are, how skinny you are, whether or not you talked back. You know, nobody is it's almost like, why don't you just go and be with a robot or a punching bag or something? Just put a punching bag in your house and just prop it up, and then that way, you that's your wife right there. Just this inanimate object, because some of them are very monstrous like that. And that is a tough crack to code when it comes to the generational curse of abuse by men. That's something that's deep, very, very, very taboo. People don't like to talk about it. When you see a woman, she has like I can tell you that I've had a man that hit me. It was 20 years ago. I ain't been hit by no man ever since. Don't put your hands on me. Okay. And my grandmother used to tell me, because my grandmother had 7 children. And she said she had 2 boyfriends. One of them is the one that she was with when she passed on. And I believe he passed on too. I'm not sure. I heard that he had cancer a few years back. But my grandmother, she said, you know what? I told all my men 3 rules. Don't say nothing to my children. Give me money when I ask you for it. And don't put your hands on me. I mean, this conversation I had with my grandmother over and over and over again, she wanted to make sure that she instilled that in me. This is my paternal grandmother. No, my maternal grandmother. I'm sorry. Um, it just is what it is. You can't change that. Can't no man change that. And they want to, because they want to be able to beat on you and beat you down. Okay. They want to be able to abuse you. They need a punching bag. Okay. That's what my grandma used to tell me. And we loved her. They didn't get married, but they were together for like 20 years. The family loved her significant other. He was a grandfather to me, because I lost my grandfather at a young age. My grandfather Adolph, I lost him at a very young age. He died when I was a baby. Hmm. Yep. My grandma would have had 8 too. She lost one of them, so she had 7 of them. So, it just is what it is. And you're not going to change that. You're not going to program me. You're not going to get together a crowd of people that's going to try to normalize that for me. And a lot of you women, y'all need to realize that he needs to correct himself. Sometimes people will do things to you to where you can never look back at them, though. If you can't correct yourself after a couple of years, a year, not even that long, we got to separate for good. This ain't gonna never work because you are stuck in your ways. And I'm not gonna take that crap. I live my life in peace and joy and happiness every single day. I wake up in the morning, I'd be like, Jacob, what you want for breakfast? Oh, Mom, I want some cereal. And la 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 la. And I come on here, I do my readings. That's life. That's not, it's not, every, some. I don't want to be with Ebenezer Scrooge. I don't want to be with the Grinch that stole Christmas. I don't want to be with Mr. Grouchy. No. Uh-uh. So, it's a energy flow. What is going on inside of you to where that flow of love and trust and understanding and security is not there, to where it keeps getting interrupted? Is it because it's not actually there? The security that you claimed that you were going to give to me was not actually real. You just did it to manipulate me, to get me. And then now I'm having the rug pulled from underneath me every chance you get. Okay. There should be a flow of love and trust and understanding within all of your relationships, even with clients. I have this one client. I love her so much too. She lets me know when she needs me because uh she'll be kind of snippy with me, and then we'll talk, and that we'll transmute that energy together. She's the only one though. Like, I don't just be having clients just barking. She's an older lady, but that's the way it should be. Otherwise, you are going to suffer. Okay, you're gonna suffer. You're gonna have headaches. You susceptible. To all kinds of stuff. That's why there's a lot of women, they like, I can create my environment the way that I want, my home the way that I want. I don't have to worry about some man coming in from work, slamming the door. What's wrong, daddy? Oh, I'm just upset. And even some of the TV shows that we've had, uh, what's that one TV show where that man would say, ooh, one day Alice, straight to he would just threaten to beat her. And this was dangerous because it taught men to be abusers. And, this is something that it's gotten out of hand. It's gotten out of hand. Okay, it has. And if men look at women, if a man looks at a woman as just somebody for him to beat on and mistreat, he got to go. Yeah, it's got to flow. And that's why a lot of them don't like cancers. I hate to toot my own horn as a Cancer zodiac sign, and I've been with a Cancer man that was abusive. So the female aspect is going to be different from the male, you know. But that's when it comes to the Cancers, we are symbolic of the home and the family. That's our symbolism: the home, the hearth, the family. Changes have to be made. Okay. And whenever I get a phone call from a woman that says that that man is physically abusive, I have to let them know. Now, that the statistics are alarming. He could literally murder you one day, hit you too hard and murder you, cut off your circulation. Be mindful. Now, if you just a hopeless romantic where you just gonna die for this man. So I don't never say, girl, you need to leave him. I tell him, I say, hey, the statistics, right? Okay. And it ain't about love. It's about safety. It's about doing what's right. And that's even when they are verbally abusing. Verbal abuse is awful. It's horrific. And they'll verbally abuse you and you verbally abuse them back. You know, I'll verbally abuse you back, but after a while, I'm just going to walk away because that's too stressful. And you don't want to have no argument like that in front of your kids, because then your kids will pick up on it, and they'll pick that dysfunctionality up, and it'll just be bad, so uh anyway, yeah, it's whatever this entity is, for some reason goes straight for the attack, specifically in the homes. And when the pandemic kicked in, domestic violence increased. It was Nobody wants a relationship that is unloving and abusive. That people don't want that. It's not a turn on, and there are some people, like, especially when you look at the I was talking about the BDSM community. There are some people that are taking that way too far. I've seen it. And, there have been many, many cases of that. So that's why I don't play around. I don't play those games anymore. Don't put your hands on me. Not even if it's a light tap. Don't lightly tap me. Don't touch me. What are you doing? This is not love. I'm confused. Why do you want to hurt me? For some reason, specifically, this entity hates our love. It hates love. Completely perverts it. Completely. Okay. Or it don't necessarily have to be the alien parasites I'm talking about. It could be a malevolent spirit that hates love. And that, will completely and totally twist and tangle what love should be about and what you should be experiencing when it comes to love. Okay. So y'all be mindful of that, especially with these relationships. That's why a lot of you women, remember when Kevin Samuel said a lot of y'all women gonna die alone. He was right about that. But it ain't your fault. It's not your fault. The only thing we can do is pave the way for the next generation. That's all we can do, is make things better for our children. Maybe it will be somebody that's your age, or maybe somebody younger than you that'll come along that will be a good life partner for you. But there's a lot of work that a lot of us women have to do anyway. So for me, it's not the end all of life. Like, oh, I got to have a man, and I got to do this, and I got to do that, and I got to go out there and say, oh, I got my man, and that, and you ain't got no man. And it's like, hey, that's I have a mission. And so if a man is not on the same mission as me, he can't be my equal. I can't be with him. I can't be with him if he's not on the same stuff that I'm on. I can't do it. I'd rather sit here and be peaceful by myself, if that's the case. Even though I don't think that's gonna happen, because I always got one or two of them running up my back. I'm pretty sure somewhere in that mix, I'm gonna have a jolly Holly is what I want. A man that's happy. It ain't about making me happy. I'm already happy. Are you happy? Yeah, I'm happy. Oh my God, we're living life. Hey, let's copulate. That's it. All that, and just, and it's like, wow, I love you, but I don't know if I can stay in this place with you. It's not a debate. It's not, and we're not going to try to justify it and say, well, you're a witch and you're practicing that devil worship, and so you need for that man to abuse you. No, I'm gonna have to go and talk to my peoples about that because I'm not buying that crap. No, 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 no. Mm-mm. Like I told y'all, they pick out certain people. How does an abuser pick their target or pick their person? Is going to be somebody that they believe that shouldn't be accepted by society. So you got to be careful, especially you witches out there, because you could be running into somebody that, he'll feel like he can do whatever he wants to. Oh, you're a witch. Oh, well, you deserve, that the Bible says never suffer a witch to live. Who said that? The Bible. Did God say that? Notice when they're quoting that bullshit, they don't never say God said that we should kill women. They don't never say God say. They say the Bible says. The Bible is not God. I know God, and I know God wouldn't say that. It's definitely not a witch, especially a lot of you witches that are healers and fairy witches and stuff. And yeah, no, mm-mm. So, it just is what it is. They can try to make people feel bad or whatever, but we know exactly what we're doing. We know what and sometimes the workings, they're not gonna work on them because that man done made up his mind. He done made up his mind. He's like, I'm a monster, I'm an abuser, I'm gonna abuse you. And that's just what it is. And I like abusing you, and I'm sadistic. Um, and it's not a situation that feels good at all. In fact, I don't even know why sadistic people came into the BDSM community, because it's more so supposed to be play. It's not supposed to be real. There's supposed to be hard limits, and then there's supposed to be aftercare as well. If you like to play that game to where you like to be put in a position to where a man is dominating you and he may be giving you a little bit of pain with those whips and chains and stuff. Okay, fine. Y'all having that session, but there's supposed to be aftercare. Men that are abusive flock to that community. They flock to the BDSM community, and you can tell if you are a woman that's into that, hey, I totally understand. I'm not into it anymore because it's too risky. Because men, the abusers, they will flock to those communities, and they will offer no aftercare. They will abuse, and you're left out to hang to dry. So a lot of women in the BDSM community, they'll say, oh, I'm experiencing this, no, what you're experiencing is just plain old abuse. And that sadistic man found his way into that community, and you ain't safe, hon. You not safe. Because so even with that, no, there's a difference. Because I'm not talking about days and days afterwards, abuser abusing you, and then a couple of days later he decides he wants to manipulate you. No, when you are doing any kind of BDSM activity, he's supposed to immediately issue aftercare to you, which is hugs and love, and this is what's real. That was something that we did for play. Now we're doing the vanilla. You supposed to have that vanilla. You supposed to have the icing on that cake right afterwards. It ain't supposed to be days and days. No, you and a lot of women that are in that, and it is a lot of them that are in their 20s that will get involved in that community. And I think that if people got their sexual kinks, hey, do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of it, like I said, men will, work their way into that community because they're looking for people to abuse. Okay. So, that just, but getting back on the subject, because I kind of deviated away from the actual original subject. There's a lot of different things that are put into place. The elements earth, air, earth, which is the herbs, okay? The energy, earth is very transmuting. Earth within itself is a planet of transmutation. Something is definitely going on in the environment to where things are not transmuting as easily as they should be. Because I would have never thought I would have to make transmutation witch bottles. That's weird to me, but I did it and it works. Okay. Um, then there's air, then there's fire, then there's water. So fire is typically the most powerful when it comes to bringing on fast change. And so when it comes to relieving a person of these generational curses, and I think men, they need to stop listening to other men. If you are a man or a woman, but mainly men, they seem to be stuck in that psychosis. If you are a man and you have these other men, and men will pressure, these parasitic men will pressure, they will put a lot of pressure on these other on other men, because they want them to follow them into the pits of hell. um if you are a man that is in your 20s, 30s, maybe early 40s, you need to research this. You need to realize that there is help for you before you get out there and you start getting into these relationships and you start living life. You need to find out what is the wisdom of the witch. Stop listening to these men when they're telling you to be disrespectful to women. If you are respectful to a woman to where you're not cursing her out, you're not cursing out her kids, not her kids directly, but you're not being disgusting towards her children that she gave birth to. Uh, yes, most women will appreciate that. They're gonna appreciate that. If it's a woman that doesn't appreciate that, then you need to let her go, because obviously it's something wrong with her. It's not women in general. Women do like nice men. Women like having a nice time. Women don't like to go through a bunch of rigmarole. Okay. So y'all better realize what your fellow men are possessed by. They are possessed. And if you follow them, you're going to follow them into misery. And no woman owes you anything. If you are an abusive man, you don't have the right to a woman, whether or not she's willing to take that abuse or not. You need to fix yourself. You need to go find yourself. But a lot of them will do things they too far gone. Then they'll have to deal with the guilt. They don't know how to forgive themselves. They don't really know how to give themselves the self-care that they need. A lot of men are not taught that. Men from the beginning are taught to sacrifice themselves anyway. For what? I don't know. But they already taught to sacrifice themselves. Okay, so that's the basis of being a man. But then there's so many dysfunctional things that are supposed to make them a man that is far from what it should be. No, that is dysfunction, especially depending on what community you coming from. They are under mind control. They are possessed. Yeah, they are. Especially the ones that you see being abusive. Yes, I would prefer not to get any attention at all. I don't want any negative attention from you. Thank you. No, thank you. I don't want negative attention from you. That's not the way love works. Okay. And until they learn how to transform themselves and transmute themselves, they need to just stay completely away from that subject because they not ready. And some of them ain't gonna never be ready. Okay. And there's many, many other elements to that. There's past life regressions. There's, but it all ties in together because these habits that they have is just disgusting. Okay. Like I said, earlier this morning, we stepped into the twilight zone again, and I didn't like it, and the goddess didn't like it either. I'm talking about the true goddess. There's no dark goddess that's gonna sit back and revel in a man abusing a woman and children. That's not, no. That's something that wants to pretend to be a goddess. That ain't no goddess. Okay, somebody that likes that. Ooh, I love this. You're talking about children and women. Ooh, yeah. No, that's no. We're going to call that a parasite. We're going to call that somebody that's very dysfunctional and needs help. Or they need to, I ain't even going to say what I want to say, but they need to, disappear and hide themselves. They should be ashamed. You should be ashamed of yourself if you are in support of an abusive man. You should be ashamed of yourself. You are not a goddess, hon. You are not a divine feminine, period. So stop saying it. Stop saying it right now. Just stop. Say what you are. Admit to what you are. Okay, y'all, I gotta go. I hope y'all enjoyed this discussion. Hit that thumbs up. I'm just gonna do the other live later on in the Witching Hour over on the Witch's Boom channel because I do want to talk to y'all about spirit attachments. For some reason, they do not want me to talk about spirit attachments, so I'm definitely gonna have to do that show um, about spirit attachments and banishing bad spirits because this discussion was about and could be about spirits. But I do believe that, you know, and there are some people that are, how they say that we have alien contact and alien connection. Some of these people are contactees of these malevolent aliens. Okay. So I want to talk more about spirit. Okay. These are spirits that were human at some point, but turned malevolent, probably the same way. Thank you, 1EQL. I'll see y'all later. Y'all have a good evening and have a happy full moon. Okay. All right. Blessings, guys. Bye bye.